So, again, I'm going to bring you to the concept of quality over quantity. Quality is not achieved through capitalism. In fact, the other direction will be the outcome for a culture that has a dominant capitalistic type of ideology, which includes Canada. So it's continuously devolving as a culture. Now, I noticed over the years that some of the things I criticize people about, and my tone increases because quality of communication is not put in. And I have no problem recording things and making records of things to see how much is me needing to improve and how much is others. But I got to say, it's not me. So there seems to be a developmental disabilities with reading and writing comprehension or listening comprehension and problem solving. And I'll address things like tech support. So I write things saying I'm having issues with the website, and then I add as many details as possible. And then the response I get is, might say, "Hi, doctor," or whatever, when my name's Martin, or "Hello," no name at all. And sometimes there's two messages. One went through an email, and one went through their website's kind of contact us, and I can't tell which one they're responding to because there were, my own text is not included in the email. But I can see that it's generic, right? So if it's generic, then people choose this at work or have no choice because that's the culture that develops through management, that they have to respond to as many things as possible when really nothing gets solved. So that means they're harming themselves, not just by losing customers or frustrating customers, but and again, it's hard to lose customers when most customers are consumer addicts. So, they'll keep them anyways. So, but like, what if that person that responded in this recent one, okay, from a chain of groceries, what if they say that we're gonna bring the workload of our problem solving tech support people that read these messages that try to help people, we're going to reduce it 75%, and we're going to say we really want to see an improvement in the quality. And they shouldn't be blaming, by the way, the understaff, because they create the culture more from top to bottom. So we're going to try to really satisfy customers and really raise, let's say, reviews on Google or whatever it might be. And there are ways to verify reviews, so there are better sources that you can look into, and see see if these people do have the skills, because now we want them to have human standards in their work, right? It's not about responding to a lot of online messages, but it's actually about reading, making sure they understand, and compensating for what people might not, and just not make an assumption, but asking, is this what you meant? Am I understanding this? Like, you could see there's an effort when this text is written, and of course getting somebody's name in there is nice. So would this kind of happen? And of course, that's once you do this, the management also has to do problem solving with websites or things that are systemic patterns. You got to solve them so that you can raise this staff's lowered workload now higher, because there'll be less things for them to respond to because now they're problem solving. But of course, capitalism doesn't lead to this. I'm going to have a meeting tomorrow, and again, it'll be people being abusive and asking me to repeat things that I've already said. And that's the only tool they have left with a critical thinker to keep trying to domesticate them, although they don't even realize they're doing it because their HSD is very high. That's why they're in these upper management positions. It's all about, I accepted domestication, and I will only tolerate people that accept the same. Except I'm not going to lower my standards. Now, you could avoid me so you don't have to improve your standards, but people can't. People can't see that sheep outside the fence without, come back in, come on. Man, they repainted the fence. It's so nice in here. Look, there's some new grass growing in this corner. It's really, this is what you look like to me. So it's about reading and writing comprehension. And over the years, I've really documented a lot of things, including people that work in post secondary institutions that have PhDs. I've applied for a lot of PhDs over the last few years. And I would say there's three patterns. One is I never get a response sometimes. Sometimes I get a generic response that really shows like they haven't read what I made an effort to write. And then there's the possibility that there's a response, but it's like it's iffy. It's almost like somebody feels pressure to answer, but you can tell that they really won't accept a thinking person in their program to shake the status quo, like to objectively evaluate the human condition. That would not be a popular thing. It would be I would be accepted in a university when the wave is already there, which will never come, by the way, of suddenly somebody else has begun this, and I'm maybe at the stage of the early adopters of this, even though I'm already at the beginning of that stage, except I haven't met anybody else, and it's most certainly not universities. So it's quite sad that I get criticized, or sometimes people think I'm mean, or my tone, or I'm offensive to others, and I say, well, I've documented our emails, and you can see how they escalate. Recently, an optometrist who just I don't know if it's just me asking her, oh, where's your family origins from, and she's a little bit argumentative in answering, and she never did, almost like she made an assumption that I'm some sort of hater or something, and and then what's the other thing I said? Well, I was asking a little bit about explanations of things that were different from the last optometry exam. I'm just curious. I'm just making conversation. And this is not everybody's like this, but this person made, a decision early on, and it was to not like me, or to be very firm in their uncaring indifference. What I did was I added a little bit of feedback here and there. Oh, that would help if you explained it this way. And then, for the next person. And then it was gentle, gentle, gentle. But again, there was never any reframing from them. There was never any give and take, it got to the point that she believes me getting my money back is a way that I wasn't victimized. And I think most people there wouldn't realize how I'm the big victim. And it's sad because it's a culture that still has to heal from trauma. Well, all cultures do now, including hers. And so there's no kind of health anymore. So we don't seem to be able to get to know others, to allow others to know ourselves, to form the concept of community. Assumptions, hatred are the norm. Uh, Belonging to the biggest tribes kind of patterns, and also to try to domesticate everybody to be a generic norm, which is subhuman type person. And that's people that are admired, that have followers, that have the highest positions here and there, this culture, that culture. So it's quite sad that this is happening, and that I'm being victimized by not wanting to become this person, and that it's well documented, but it doesn't make a difference. And of course, I can file multiple human rights violations, and if it ever goes to a public hearing, which is what I would want, is I can tell you that it's already like that now, but by the time it reaches that point, is the guy who wants to defend his human rights in a human right forum will be punished. And this is who you are, and this is who I am, and I'm proud of who I am. And I'm sorry, I won't become like you for the sake of a paycheck, or to accept to be treated with disrespect just for a particular outcome that may or may not be that useful to me. And I know you think it's weird. Well, you showed up for this appointment. And if you would have acted like this, which means accept human rights violations, accept disrespect, accept a very cold outcome from everybody involved sometimes, and then you would have had what you wanted. No, what I want is different than you. I want to be treated where my human rights are not violated. I don't accept any other things.